Maybe this is the reason why that person on Instagram said, "I'm glad I didn't look into this before I watched it." What's up, my fellow headbangers? I'm Courtney, aka the Versatile Virgo, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I run a metal lifestyle blog, theversatilevirgo.com, which focuses on all things heavy music, including but not limited to musically inspired recipes and outfits, new music suggestions, interviews, reviews, and so much more. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to check it out. I've linked it in the description below. While heavy music is primarily my focus, one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel was because I wanted to take that opportunity to talk about other things that I'm interested in too, that I don't always get to talk about on my blog. YouTube seems like a great platform for voicing your opinions, so in today's video, we're gonna do something a little different. My husband and I have been really burnt out on any type of TV shows recently, especially after this last year and a half. It just kind of feels like we have watched everything in existence and there's just not anything really worth watching. So it's been a while since I've really binge watched anything, but recently someone that I follow on Instagram had made a post about the new Netflix series Clickbait. And more specifically, they had mentioned that it was just something that they had randomly turned on and they were so glad that they did. So I was a little intrigued by that, and when I was scrolling through Netflix mindlessly again looking for just something, when I saw it at the top of the page, I thought, why not give it a shot? This series was not at all what I expected. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it in this spoiler-free review. But first, what's Clickbait even about? Physical therapist and family man Nick Brewer suddenly disappears without a trace until he appears in a viral video holding up a sign that reads, "At 5 million views, I die." But the longer Nick is missing, the more secrets start to come out about who Nick might have really been and the people closest to him, and how that might have played a role in his kidnapping. Each episode focuses on the different people in Nick's life and how they might have had a motive to do this. Meanwhile, his family, primarily his sister Pia, played by Zoe Kazan, and his wife Sophie, played by Betty Gabriel, try to find Nick before it's too late. The thing I liked most about this series is the message it sends about social media and really the internet as a whole. For example, you might think from the loved one's perspective that it would make more sense to try and have the viral video taken down before it even reaches 5 million views to begin with, while at the same time, law enforcement should be simultaneously searching for Nick. But people in today's society can't help but play into the clickbait. Just think about it. You see something on the news and you want to look it up yourself to see what's all going on. And even if you're just trying to help, that plays into these views. And as certain things are revealed about Nick throughout the series and who he really might have been, there's also the other side of that coin where people start rooting for his demise who don't even know him. Therefore, the video starts quickly gaining viewers and there's an immediate rush to find Nick before it's too late. It also shows how quickly and easily this could happen to really anyone, especially again in today's society where social media and the internet is just such a big part of all of our lives. It's enough to give you a panic attack and a chill down your spine at the exact same time, and that's exactly what Clickbait does. And not just at the end of each episode just to keep you watching or slightly peppered in throughout. That's how this entire series is. The whole thing is just like an adrenaline rush. Also, I'm someone that's a big fan of this type of genre in general, so it's something I generally opt for anyways, and I'm used to seeing all different types of plot lines. I love trying to figure it out. I am a why person, and spoilers really don't bother me because I still like seeing how it actually plays out, even if I figure it out. So in an 8-episode series, let's say, I can usually at least figure out part of what's going to happen, if not the whole plot, by the end of episode 5, let's say, but that's not what happened with Clickbait. I didn't even watch the trailer before I put this on because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the person that I saw that had recommended this had said it was just something that they randomly put on, so I was afraid to look any further into it and maybe it would ruin the whole experience. So I didn't even see how many episodes were included in this series. I just saw that it was a limited series, which could mean there's 3 episodes, there's 8 episodes. I believe there's 8 episodes in this series, but I'm still not entirely sure, and it's not something I really paid attention to, because in no way in this series does it drag on at all that you're like, okay, how many episodes are left? Like, I think I know what's going on here. There is none of those moments, and there is no time wasted. So halfway through episode 1, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this must only be a limited series that only has like 3 episodes or something, because it was moving so fast. I thought, I don't really know how they could continue this for any longer than that. But I was totally wrong. And you know how sometimes when a series starts off really exciting like that and the rest of the thing just kind of drags? That's not how Clickbait was at all. They definitely do reveal certain things, and there's so many things that get solved piece by piece in every episode, and there's so many twists and turns. But at the same time, while those other things are being revealed, another piece unravels. And that's really what keeps you watching, because there's so much entanglement in this series and so many things going on. I really didn't know what to think, and I definitely did not have it figured out until the very last episode when they revealed what happened. Every time I thought I knew what was going on, I was completely wrong, and Clickbait made sure to fully elaborate on how I was completely wrong. The only thing I didn't really like about this series was there were certain scenes that almost felt uncomfortable to watch, not because of the subject matter or anything like that. They just felt really unnatural, almost like I was watching Days of Our Lives or The Bold and the Beautiful or another type of soap opera like that. There would just be these very dramatic, unnatural moments that really kind of caught me off guard, and I don't necessarily know that it was the acting or maybe if it was just the directing or even the way that it was filmed, but there was a few of those moments, especially in episode 1. When I first started it, I thought, I don't know about this. Maybe this is the reason why that person on Instagram said, I'm glad I didn't look into this before I watched it, and that type of thing. But those moments were very few and far between. Like I said, that was something that in the very beginning in episode 1, in the first half of episode 1, that kind of caught me off guard. And then I would say about halfway through the series, again, there was another scene that was like that I was like, I don't know about this. But immediately right after that, they just kept the momentum going and sucked me right back in. So I'm not sure if those moments really ever stopped, or it was just the plot line was so enticing that I just had to know what happened next. But that was not something that would be a deal breaker for me, and I'm definitely still recommending this as something to watch. I also just want to say that Betty Gabriel gave a standout performance in this series. I really like her as an actress in general, but I really think she did a great job in this role. When this happens to Nick, his whole life ends up under scrutiny, and this series kind of really shows how that affects the people in his life. And Betty Gabriel's performance specifically as Nick Brewer's wife Sophie is so thought-provoking and emotional, and I just think that she did a really great job in this series, and it's probably one of the standout performances, if not the standout performance, of Clickbait. And speaking of the actors in this series, there was one in particular that made me slightly hesitant to watch this, but not because of the reason that you think. I was a huge fan of Entourage when it was on, so seeing Adrien Grenier play Nick Brewer, I was a little bit hesitant because I'm so used to seeing him as Vinny Chase, and I know that's not fair to say because as someone with a theater background, I know how easy it is to get typecast into certain roles and how hard it is for actors to break out of it. And I think for him, it's probably even more difficult because as a fan of that show, not only seeing him play an actor and the different things that he went through as an actor, but in that specific show they also showed him play different roles within that role. So it's kind of really hard for me to watch him and not think that I'm watching Vinny Chase. But when I was watching Clickbait, I didn't have that problem, and I was really excited to see him in this series and see how it all played out. I actually really hope that he starts to take other roles like this because I think that that will probably break him out of that typecasting that he got from Entourage. So before I give the final verdict on Clickbait, I just want to mention if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and also let me know in the comments section if this is something you want to see more of. Like I said, I normally do a lot lot of heavy music related content, but in terms of my creativity, there's just certain things that I want to talk about when I'm feeling like talking about them. So I really enjoyed putting this together for you guys. So if it's something you want to see more of, definitely let me know. And don't forget to check out my blog, theversatilevirgo.com, especially if you're a heavy music fan. It's linked in the description. So since this is sort of my first movie slash TV review, I thought about doing a 5-star rating system just like everything else does. But because I'm so obsessed with skulls, we are going to do a 5-skull rating system. 5 skulls is great, 4 is good, 3 is okay, 2 is not so great, and 1 is bad. So for the story, I would give this a 5 out of 5. Like I said, this plot line really gets you hooked from the very jump, and it's something that I really just could not stop watching. It had me sucked in, and every time I thought I had it figured out, there was another piece that just kept me going, and I had to see more. For the acting, I would give it a 3 out of 5, just because I don't think there's any really Oscar-worthy performances here, and like I mentioned earlier, there was also just those weird, awkward moments that I don't know. I'm blaming it on the acting. It might have been the editing, but it was just weird moments for the actors in general. So it was something that kind of took me out of it a little bit, but I ended up jumping right back in. So it's not super distracting, but not perfect either. Overall, I would give this a 4.5 out of 5, just simply because I think this series is something that everybody really needs to watch in general. Like I said, it's so prevalent to what's going on in our society and just the way our world is now, and it's definitely a very original idea, I think. So I really like that part of it. And on top of that, my husband, who's not super into the same things that I am in terms of film and TV, to make a long story short, I randomly put on the Terrifier one day, and now he no longer trusts me to pick movies and TV shows. He will watch what I'm watching, but he will watch them from afar before he decides to fully jump into them, and that is 100% because of the Terrifier incident. But so when I started watching this series, I just randomly put it on because I thought, if this has a lot of gore in it, he's definitely gonna tell me he's not gonna want to watch it. So I just started putting it on, and he had actually randomly come in while I was watching it and immediately got sucked into it too. All the meanwhile, we've been having issues with our internet router at home, and we've been needing to get a new one and just kind of putting it off and putting it off. Well, finally, I'm watching this series and he's starting to get into it too, and I think we were only at the beginning of episode 2 and it started cutting out, and then Netflix wouldn't play, and my husband was like, no, I'm going to get a router now because we are finishing this today. And we really haven't binge watched anything in a while, so for him to be so into this show and not even see it from the very beginning should tell you how easy it is to get sucked into this show. This isn't something that you have to see from the first minute and then you won't know what's going on. Obviously, I highly recommend it because I think the whole thing needs to be watched as a whole to get the full experience. But even for somebody like my husband, who's maybe not always super into this type of genre, he really enjoyed it as well, as did I. So what did you think of Netflix's Clickbait? Let me know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for even more videos that I will have coming out soon. Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay heavy.